Over my 10-year career as a graphic designer, I have amassed quite a nice collection of books on design, typography, and hand lettering. Some have been more useful than others, but in this video, I want to share my thoughts on the book that have taught me the most, shaped who I am as an artist today, and also gave me the most confidence to create. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm already a lettering artist from the Gold Coast in Australia. I am passionate about helping other creatives improve their skills and sell their own digital products online. I have many lettering courses and design resources available, so if you want to check them out, make sure to check out my website. In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 of the most important books on design and creativity that I've read, and this is going to be in no particular order, but these beautiful books are ideal for lettering artists, but also designers, illustrators, or any creative looking for inspiration, typography tools, lettering tips, art career advice, and self-development help too. Make sure to watch until the end, as I will share my #1 tip for getting more value out of any book you read. I will also have a small surprise for you. So let's get started. Starting off with a bang, Still Like an Artist by Kleon is probably one of the easiest and most relatable book you'll ever read on creativity. You've probably seen me mention this book multiple times on this channel. I love this book. This book is all about how to be more creative, how to steal from other artists and not get caught. The author provides a lot of practical advice on how to be more creative. The book is actually filled with a lot of examples and small anecdotes that will keep you engaged. One of the key takeaways from this book is that creativity is not something that comes from within, but rather something that is built over time and that you develop. So he says that the best way to become more creative is to actually steal ideas from other artists and learn to make them your own. So he really encourages you to spend time looking at other people's work, really observing what they're doing, and take inspiration from what you see out there. But most importantly, he makes it very clear that while it's okay to copy other people's work, you always have to make sure that you are honest about it and give credit when it's due. So one of his main points is that all artists are actually influenced by the work of others, and that there is no such thing as originality. Everything comes from something that's already done before, and he instead really encourages you to embrace the influence of other artists and use that to create something new and unique. So I wanted to share one of my favorite quotes from the book with you guys, where it says, "What a good artist understands is that nothing comes from nowhere. All creative work builds on what came before. Nothing is completely original." So yeah, overall, this book I think is an excellent book for anyone who wants to be more creative. It's super easy to read, it's very short, super practical. It will be full of small little advice that you can use in your own work. So whether you're an artist, a writer, a musician, this book will be a huge help to unlock your creativity. My next book recommendation is Thinking with Type by Lupton. So this book is entirely dedicated to typography, but even if you're not a graphic designer, I still think that you will find a value out of this book. It is an excellent resource to have. It's written for a general audience, so anyone can read it. If you are a writer, an editor, anyone who uses text in their work could benefit from this book, and not just graphic designers. So this book is a very concise guide on how to use typography as a tool for doing things. So as the title says, it's about thinking with typography. So how you can use type to shape your content and give visual language to body text and convey more meaning through type. So the book is actually divided into 3 sections. So the first one is about letters, the second about text, and the last one about grids. And the chapter on grid is probably my favorite. I'm such a type nerd. but in my opinion, it is a very important resource, and I strongly suggest that you check out this chapter. This is actually the book we use at university when teaching about grades to students. Here's one of my favorite quotes from the book. So, designers provide ways into and out of the flood of words by breaking up text into pieces and offering shortcuts and alternate routes through masses of information. Although many books define the purpose of typography as enhancing the readability of the written word, one of design's most human functions is, in actuality, to help readers avoid reading. So for anyone wanting to improve their typography skills, making sure that you're doing it the right way, and if you want to become a true type nerd, then I would recommend starting with this book. Pages are filled with great examples, it's super quick and easy to read, very easy to skim through, obviously because it was designed by a professional typographer. So if you want to become a true type nerd, you need this on your bookshelf. Also, make sure you follow Lupton on Instagram. She's got some super nerdy type videos that you will love. Now, if you're a hand lettering enthusiast and you haven't heard about this book, then you've been living under a rock. The Lettering Manual is a practical guide on how to draw letters, and it was written by Barber, who is a professional lettering artist with over 25 years of experience. This guide will introduce you to the world of hand lettering, and you'll learn about all of the history and the techniques of hand lettering, and it is all written by the people from House Industries, which is a well-known design studio in America. So in this book, you'll actually find a lot of exercises, a lot of case studies as well. What I like about it is that you have a lot of typographic models for letter styles such as serif, sans serif, brush, and script. So it has all of the examples that you can use. It will also cover the best practices for getting paid. So it has everything all in one place. This is a super friendly guide. It's super easy to read, very, very well designed. Really what I love about it the most is that it provides those lettering models, like I said, and that will help you improve your drawing skills, and you can use that as a starting point for further experimentation. So yeah, I just think it's a stunning book. It's well designed, it's full of accessible tools. I truly think that this is a must-have if you're a lettering artist. So let me share with you one of my favorite quotes from the book. Barber says, "Each person has a unique way of combining the various influences, techniques, and ideas that go into a piece of lettering. Yet, a letter won't resonate with viewers if it doesn't convey some sense of familiarity, no matter how imaginative or distinctive the letter may be. Lettering is a visual storytelling, and the best stories are usually the ones that are true. Work that excels runs on logic and consistency under the hood. True innovation is adapting established forms to new ideas." Earlier this year, I actually attended one of Barber's amazing lettering workshop. This workshop was all about script lettering, and it was such a great experience because during the workshop, Ken shared his process and all of his knowledge on the art of script lettering as well, of course, but he allowed us to have a look at his entire drawing process, and we were given the chance to create our own lettering design following his own process. Overall, I highly recommend attending one of his workshops to anyone who's interested in lettering. The next book that genuinely impacted my creative practice is Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear by Gilbert. In this book, she presents a method to help you act on your creative impulses. She actually thinks of ideas as alive and separate things that interact with us, and she believes that creativity is almost magical and spontaneous, which is quite interesting, I think. Also, what I really like about this book is that she gives you a really sincere and honest account of her personal journey as a writer. So she actually shares how she also had her own struggles when it comes to creativity and overcoming self-doubt and stuff like that. So yeah, I find it very interesting how she thinks of ideas as actual living things, and she explains that if you have an idea, you can either decide to reject this idea and politely and thoughtfully reject it, or you can either decide to accept the idea and commit to it. And she also says that if you lose the idea, if you don't accept it, someone else might take it. So she actually recommends treating your ideas with curiosity and respect instead of resistance and fear. In one of the chapters called Fierce Trust, Elizabeth Gilbert discusses the importance of putting your creative work out into the world, even if you have no guarantee of success. She says that actually fierce trust demands that you put forth the work anyhow, regardless of the outcome, regardless of its success, because the outcome cannot matter. So she really challenges the reader to ask themselves, what would you do even if you knew you might fail? And she asks you to trust your love for creating regardless of the outcome. And then she adds, which I thought was quite funny, she says, anyhow, what else are you going to do with your time here on earth? Not make things, not do interesting stuff, not follow your love and your curiosity. I love it. So yeah, inspiration is like a partner, according to Elizabeth Gilbert. This is not your boss. This is not your master. This is actually your friend. Inspiration, ideas, you should see them like living things. It's mostly a way of thinking that comes from within the person and not from what other people think about you. I just love Elizabeth Gilbert. I actually attended one of her conferences back in March 2020 in Brisbane, and it was such a great talk. I've been a huge fan of her work since, and I think this book is a classic. It's such a classic book on creativity. You should absolutely read it if you currently have any doubts, any fears, or any struggles when it comes to making art, and you will feel much better after reading it. Okay, the next book I recommend checking out is In Progress by Jessica Hische. The full title, In Progress, See Inside a Lettering Artist's Sketchbook and Process from Pencil to Vector. And this is a really wonderful book. It is ideal for anyone who's interested in learning more about the process of creating hand lettering for client project from start to finish. So she really shows the entire process, all of her brainstorming, how she vectorizes stuff. You get to see everything. It is a sketchbook, which means that it is filled with gorgeous examples of hand lettering created by Jessica. What I really like about this book is that it gives you an inside look into the creative process, and you really get to see how Jessica Hische develops her ideas from pencil to fully realized digital design. So this is great if you want to know how it works from start to finish, and it is filled with small tips and tricks and techniques about lettering, and that will also help you improve your own skill. I think it's a great source of inspiration on hand lettering. So let me share one of the quotes from the book with you. Visual research is something that should be part of your day-to-day life, not just something that you do at the start of a project. Be a sponge, absorb everything around you. Read books that have nothing to do with design and lettering. Visit art and science museums. Pay attention to fashion. Stop to admire interesting graffiti and amateur sign painting. By living our lives and growing not only as designers, but also as people, we amass a lifetime of inspiration that we can pull from consciously or unconsciously. I only just recently acquired this book, but I wish I had bought it sooner, to be honest. It would have been super useful when I was just starting out on my lettering journey. If you're just starting out, if you're at the beginning of your lettering journey, I highly recommend this book. It is a beautiful book that will not only inspire you, but also educate you. Last but not least is The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rubin. This book is more about the creative process than it is about lettering specifically, but I think it's a fantastic read for anyone who wants to be more creative in general. So the author, Rubin, is actually a music producer who has worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, but in this book he shares his thoughts on what it takes to be truly creative. So one of the key takeaways from this book is that creativity is not something that can be forced. And he says that the best way to be creative is to simply be open to the world around you and let inspiration come to you naturally. He encourages the reader to really be present in the moment, to embrace your unique creative vision. And I actually really enjoyed the audio version of this book because he's the one narrating the book, and there is this very calming bell at the end of each chapter, which I thought was quite nice to listen to. It's full of practical advice and wisdom, and it will help you illuminate the path that we can all follow as artists. I promise this is not another book full of cliché, happy aphorism. It won't disappoint. Here's a quote from the book that I really enjoyed, where he says, "If you're holding a center puzzle piece in your hand and staring at an empty tabletop, it's difficult to determine where to place it. If all of the puzzle is complete, except for that one piece, then you know exactly where it goes. The same is generally true of art. The more of the work you can see, the easier it becomes to gracefully place the final details clearly where they belong." Now, before I wrap up, I want to share with you my number one tip for getting more value out of any book you read and remembering what you read. And this is not by taking notes, underlining or highlighting stuff in your book. Even though these techniques might be useful to go back to your book and find the information in it, they won't actually help you remember a concept, an idea or a technique or even a quote. So here's the thing about memory, we actually remember things that we use. Now, for example, if you read a book about how to correctly use grids in your design, the only way you're going to remember what you've read is by actually practicing using the grids. So let's say you read something that you find very interesting in the book, then you want to try to apply and implement that into your work. If you find it useful after you've used it, then I can guarantee that you will remember it, because we actually remember what's useful to us. Because that's the thing, if you don't try to implement the ideas you read into your own work in some way, you're just not going to remember them. And at the end of the day, what's the point of reading a book if you don't remember it? So there you have it. Those are my top 6 books that have really changed my life as a lettering artist and changed the way I work. There are many other books I could have mentioned, to be honest, so let me know if you would like a part 2. I have also included a link where you can download a sample of my reading journal if you want to try that out. So I really hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to leave me a comment below letting me know which book you're most excited to read. Also, let me know if you have any other books that you recommend I should read. I always love to know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.